but I feel blessed to have met Dr. Sarah Mulakutla. She came to one of our events, and I'm glad she did. And she's actually local in Monroe. She is a board certified neurologist and a national leader in integrative neurology. And I always like to find neurologists who are open to complementary therapies, because it's not just the medication that we need. We need everything in life to help us. So she incorporates the principles of yoga and meditation into her research, which is her favorite thing to do besides work and meet with all of us. And she to treat the neurological conditions, and she's taught meditation to physicians and patients since 2012. And I have to tell you, she's come super recommended from people that I totally respect. And so I feel grateful that actually just from Jessica's group, that Jessica connected me with a lot of people. The JCC in Manhattan loves you, Dr. Mulkutla. The doctors at Weill Cornell are totally respect your work. So after completing her neurology training at Yale, Dr. Mulkutla worked in various hospital and outpatient neurology settings, treating a wide range of neurological conditions. And in 2016, she founded the section on neurohealth and integrative neurology at the American Academy of Neurology. This platform has given her a national stage to teach about mind-body medicine and advance the dialogue in complementary therapies and holistic neurology care. So this course combines Dr. Sarah, we're gonna call her Dr. Sarah today. Finds her insights from 10 plus years of working with people with Parkinson's disease, traditional yoga methodology, and the scientific understanding of brain anatomy and function. And that's why I feel it's so good to have her working with us, because she's bringing the science and the meditation and the complementary therapies together. In Long Island, she got her medical degree from Stony Brook University School of Medicine. She did her residency at Yale New Haven Hospital, her undergraduate at Harvard, and a mind-brain behavior certification. And she now has her own practice in Monroe, New York. Please welcome Dr. Sarah.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for the kind words. It has been really great to connect with Susan, and I'm very much looking forward to this workshop that we put together, because we have the chance to meet in person. And I'll tell you a little bit just very briefly, I won't spend too much time, about how we got to this point. But before that, Susan, so good news that you like integrative neurologists. The American Academy of Neurology recently announced brain health as one of its initiatives. And this is a huge move, because brain health shifts away from just talking about disease states. So much of our medical education is looking at what's wrong and then developing treatments, medications to target this very small part of the nervous system. And recently, they have come to realize that when you start to look at a brain and the nervous system and how you can support it, it's a very refreshing, inspiring way to look at the human body, and we can start to incorporate this approach of learning that things like exercise are good for you. And if you can learn the correct way to do it for your body, then you can support the health and well-being of your brain, even if there is something that is going wrong. So it's not just looking at just exercise for Parkinson's disease, but exercise for the brain as a whole. And meditation is absolutely one of these categories that support the brain in working well. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's see, is there anything? Well, I'm curious, has anybody here had any experience with meditation? I know, Marcia, you have at least a little bit, not to call you out, but yes, we have another hand going up. Good. Great. Okay, great. I'd love to open it up and just start with a little bit of dialogue. Susan, we have 1 hour today. We end at 12, right?
75 minutes. We end at 12:15.
Perfect. Great. Excellent. So is anybody that want to talk about their meditation practice and what it means to them? If you want to share what you actually do during it, I'd love to hear.
I took transcendental meditation, 20, 30 years ago. And they emphasized that you had to do your practice every day and actually twice a day, morning and night. And I stuck with it, and I got where I could meditate and get very peaceful in my meditation. I could even do it on the train going down to work in the morning with all that racket and noise. I stopped doing it probably just out of laziness or whatever, but it was very helpful to me at the time, and that's why I'm participating today.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that John's not going to share his mantra.
No,
What is it? I don't know it either.
I know what the mantra is, and I'm pretty sure I could share it, and it wouldn't X me out.
It's a closed group, right? What happens here stays here. So there's a couple. So Susan, you did TM also, correct? And Marcia, did you have a TM background? No, it's not TM. Okay, I didn't know.
No.
All right.
Moon.
Yeah. Excuse me. I started doing the Calm program, you know, just to learn to breathe. Everybody says you have to breathe. I'm always breathing, but how to breathe and so on. And it's helpful, but I personally need in-person stuff more than anything because I get easily sidetracked, a noise, whatever. So I need more. So that's why I'm here. And PWP has been very helpful to me in the past. I just haven't been attending so much because I have other back issues. That's on top of everything. So hopefully they'll be resolved very soon. So yeah, I think it's helpful to meditate.
Can you come next week? Are you local that you'll be there in person?
Yes. Even
Great.
if I have to be dragged there by somebody, I'm going, you know, if I drive myself. Yep.
Good.
My background is with John Kabat-Zinn and mindfulness meditation, and for maybe 20 years, but I cycle through periods of practice and non-practice. I have taken a course similar to this with Sarah before. I need a boost, and I'm here again. And I really thought the video was great.
Good to see you. Thank you. Yes.
If
Jakob.
you have 20 seconds, I just want to share with you my experience. Sometimes I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I have a sleepless night. What I do, I just started to think I'm on the beach, I'm walking in the water. I see my feet wet. Next thing I have my knee in the water. And I never reached the west side because I fell asleep.
Great.
This kind of experience I started when I read an article back in many years ago. I don't know, was it the Soviet Union or was it the United States? And somebody gave example. So instead of grab some kind of medicine to help you sleep, maybe you should do this and this. And I tried it and I feel like I'm successful. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. I love this. I want to hear, I'm going to give a chance for more people. I just want to, before I forget, just reflect on the comments that people made. So in transcendental, well, we'll talk about this a little bit, but what is it Yakov? Is that correctly? Yeah, Yakov. What he just mentioned is that in his mind, he's creating a type of imagery and is able to walk in the water. So he's practicing seeing this and feeling it. And this helps him fall asleep. And we're going to talk about that because the first goal that we have today is that we're going to learn that we can control our attention and you can learn to do different things with it. And I will incorporate mantra. I will incorporate a little bit of imagery since we talked about it. Some more details on all of that coming soon. We're also going to, I'm actually just going to screen share because I did just make a couple of goals for ourselves for today. And just because it's so relevant to what Simone said. So we're going to learn to, this is for our 5 sessions. Direct your attention, train your attention, recognizing wandering mind. We'll get to that. We'll get to 3 and 4, but also become friends with your relaxed breath. And I just wanted to bring that up because Simone already mentioned that. So we're going to start to talk about that. Before I begin, does anybody else feel that they want to share? I saw one other hand. No, you don't have to. Okay.
I actually want to say something. Yeah.
Great.
I'm a craniosacral therapist, and so in my work, I do a lot of like it's like meditation. It's really zooming into somebody's mind, like body, and really paying very close attention. And I do use imagery a lot. So I feel like when I work, I feel better.
Great.
I
Wow.
think it's because of that attention.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Very interesting. Very interesting. So just looping back to brain health. So brain health is coming from this big perspective that we have this fantastic, incredible brain that can do so many things. And how can we learn to maximize each of those qualities? And one of them is our thinking mind. So one thing that sets humans apart is that we can plan, we have incredible logic, the fact that we've built our society, run businesses, remember the past, project and create a future for ourselves, a very complex thought pattern. There is a video that I have online that if you haven't seen it, it goes a little bit in depth. But when we are actually having thoughts, this activates a big chunk of our nerve cells in our brain. So this video goes a little more in depth, but I'll just show you that we have this is the brain. It's about equal size of what it looks like in our brain. And I'm going to cut it apart because when we look at pictures on MRI, we often look at it from this direction. But so a lot of our thoughts happen, and this is our frontal part where a lot of our thinking takes place. And there's connections to all parts of the brain. And then when we're talking about Parkinson's, we're looking at connectivity between this front, the part that directs the muscles are somewhere over here, a little bit higher. They're all connected to and from. It's a lot of signaling that's happened. So we'll go into, there's more depth on the video, how many neurons and how they all have to work together to execute movements and help us remember, plan, talk, language. All of this is different nerve cells in the brain and different parts of the brain working together. And what the video explains a little bit more, but what an important point is that when you're activating your thoughts, that takes up space and activity in your brain, this could interfere with other parts in our brain. And in fact, we think that this is primarily one of the things that happens in Parkinson's. So in Parkinson's, which is a motor syndrome, there's muscle and movement irregularities. There is a huge overlap between that thinking process that contributes to how the muscles don't get the signals that they need. Okay. And we know that because it's very widely acknowledged that when people with Parkinson's experience a psychological stressor, they may think about going on stage to talk in public, and the tremor may immediately came. So just the idea of thinking something stressful can cause this physical symptoms to show up. And people with freezing of gait, when they move into a new environment through a narrow hallway or a crowded room, it's this brain's perception that something is different, this might be a threat, and it interrupts the movement. So we're coming from the perspective of the brain has this tremendous capacity, but we know what it looks like on the physical level. Let's start to train these thinking processes. And that is what I have been working on now for 7 years with Parkinson's. And just to give a brief overview, very recently, I've had the privilege of collaborating with Weill Cornell, as Susan mentioned, with Dr. Harini Sarva, Evelyn Ween, and also Yale. And we're doing research now to study a little bit more about this interplay in the brain between the thinking networks and muscle. But meanwhile, I've been able to create some techniques for meditation that are specifically customized to Parkinson's. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And today I'm going to start with a few simple exercises, and then maybe a longer exercise at the end. But next week is going to be really interesting because we're actually going to feel our body. I'm going to try and demonstrate with some of you up in front, but then I'm going to get you guys to work together and see if you can really start to feel what is rigidity and how you can get to release it by breathing or doing something different. And then we'll do that same thing with walking and helping all of you start to understand this brain-body dynamic that's happening in your body. And meanwhile, we're going to send resources for how to train our mind to support improved connectivity. That's sort of the overarching thought. So any questions? Anybody want to comment or have thoughts?
Malik, did you want to say something? It looked like you did. No?
I just have been thinking about that all along, just always how an emotion or just a thought starts up everything, and how you look at it changes everything. It's just a perspective. And it's amazing you're saying that. It's just from a scientific, it's just, we're going to get a chance to understand it scientifically and implement it as we need it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I met
Thank
somebody
you.
once in my clinic who came, and I thought they had pretty severe Parkinson's, and they spent the whole session talking about a misgiving that happened to them kind of 15 years ago, an academic, and their difficulty with their daughter. I kind of took it okay, but the next time I saw them, they looked completely different and much, much better, and their mood was better. And I realized that was the first realization I had, that his emotional state was completely related to the Parkinson's. And yeah, and anyway, so
it's great. Thank
the perspective, it's interesting. So you are reminding me that's something to bring in. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to say this is how we start, by just opening your awareness and learning the many different things you can do with your mind to help help the whole brain work together better. That's really what we're doing. I'm going to ask you to start to think about your big toe. Let's do your right big toe, unless you have a reason to think of your other one. Just without, you can look at it if it helps you. But if you want to also close your eyes and try to see if you can feel your toe. Can you feel the bottom of that toe touching anything? Ground or sock? Or it might help to have a little bit of a bigger area to focus on. So see if you can also kind of in your mind's eye, either seeing it or feeling it, feel the rest of the toes on your right foot. You can go ahead and wiggle them if you want to help you feel it better. And go ahead and now bring into your awareness, your focus, you're intending to feel your whole right foot. And now, without looking at it, go ahead and close your eyes or look up or look away at the computer. But see if you can trace, just by feeling it, what the rest of that right leg going up to the knee. Can you kind of feel that bend in the knee, if it's bent, and just, even if it's not correct, just sort of either picture it, feel it. And now go all the way up to the hips and feel the hips, which are the heaviest part of your body, being supported by something. If you're sitting, I think I saw somebody standing before, but we'll do sitting. So feel your hips on a surface, and that your hips don't have to do any work, and sort of allow this weight, your whole weight, to be held up by the chair. Okay. So I'm going to stop this exercise right now and talk a little bit about what you're doing. So first of all, you have control about what to focus on and what to bring into your awareness. Awareness is sort of like this thing that you're focusing on. I mean, it's a very mild term. I mean, it's a very general term, but you can choose to focus on something that you want to focus on. But many times we also get distracted by the mind, and that's anxiety or just a super busy mind. And we're gonna, one of the next exercises we're gonna do is I'm going to have you try and focus on something, and inevitably, usually within seconds or microseconds, a thought comes up because the mind is that active. But the first thing that you need to do is that you can choose to direct your attention. And meditation is, you decide that you're going to focus on something. Meditation is 100% training your attention. And when a thought comes up, you recognize the thought and you go back to what you're focusing on. And that's the act of meditation. So that's what we're going to be working on for this session. So I want to bring in one other exercise right now. I want you to close your eyes if you feel comfortably and mentally repeat the word one to yourself silently. This is a mantra. This is a technique of meditation that they teach in transcendental meditation. Very powerful. Close your eyes and just say one. Repeat it again. You can almost try to hear it. It's this concept that you can train your inner dialogue. Now say the word peace mentally over and over. Peace. 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 Or calm. You can say calm, but internally. If you need to say it out loud as you're beginning your practice, that's okay too. But to be able to train your mind to mentally do what you want to do, this internal repetition is also very powerful. Okay. So this is what Herbert Benson taught us in 1970. That if you choose one repetitive activity, such as repeating a mantra in your mind, you activate your body's parasympathetic nervous system. Our human nervous system has a signaling capacity that when we are in a state where we need to be alert and aroused, it's sympathetic. That is fight or flight. That is cortisol. That's your heart pumping. Your body is ready to act and do something. But all of nature needs a balance, and the body can't always be on alert, ready to go. We need to rest, relax, repair. That is this whole signaling in the nervous system that tells your whole body, do you need to be up and active, or can we be in a reparative state? And many of you have heard this, but our society, by and large, lives in the arousal state way too much. From morning to night, we're at work, we're responding to emails, deadlines, planning the family, getting the house chores done, right? We don't have, it's a nature of a really busy society, being on email all the time, social media, just so much input to the body. And we need, all of us, the nervous system, humans, need time to recover from that. One of the amazing things about meditation is that you can practice this, and just by doing a boring activity, repeating it, you bring out this relaxation response. So Dr. Benson showed it with the mantra. You can also do it by observing your breath. I'm going to ask you now one more exercise. Try to bring into your awareness, your focus, start feeling your breath as it's moving in your body. You can put your hand on your tummy if you would like. You can try to listen to your breath. If you put your head a little lower, sometimes you can hear it better. See if you can hear yourself breathing? And from the inside, can you feel your muscles moving and connect with the internal sensations of your breath? There's an inhale, and watch, feel, listen as it transitions naturally to the exhale. It's an incredible process. It speeds up, slows down, stops, and then moves in the opposite direction. Okay, great. So we'll take a pause and I'll see if anybody has anything they want to share or ask for questions. And then we'll move into part 2, where we start to how to use all this new awareness to begin a meditation practice. So other than the TM trained people, were any of you able to kind of do this internal word in your mind? Was that hard for you? Were you able to kind of get the concept? Yes, Simone.
Yeah, I do it, and then as soon as I hear a sound, something, I leave. I mean, I try pulling myself back. That's the problem. Don't know how to do it quick
Keep
enough,
doing
or
it. Just keep doing it.
just
Thank
keep
you. It's
doing.
perfect. That's it. You notice your mind wandering. You decide, I'm going to focus on this. Within an instant, it'll go. You do it again. But if you can do that for 10 to 15 minutes, it takes that long, suddenly it will get easier. That's so what the video shows, that when you catch your mind wandering, that thought immediately kind of is observed. And then you're activating a different part of your brain, and you're at least temporarily down. We use the word down regulating in science, but you're kind of toning it down, that thought. You try to move back up.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a Dr. Saltz. He gave a free workshop also on breathing, and he also did this, to get back to, breathing and so on, and it helps. He also did like self-love, all kinds of things. I'm trying everything, but it's tough. But as long as I pull myself back, it's okay. It's
Yes,
better.
definitely. This is totally natural. And sometimes you notice you're having this whole, like, sometimes you realize like, wow, I had a big conversation or a big like mind wandering.
Exactly.
Yeah. So keep with it. And but that is exactly what, when you sit down to meditate, this is what you're training your mind to do. And if you do this for 10 to 15 minutes, it still takes me that long, but then the mind starts to quiet down. And that's why we have to do it regularly, because then we go out and do things and the mind becomes active again. And that's why in TM, that's why they say twice a day if you can, but we don't have to do it. What I want you to learn is that you can do this, how it feels when you do it, and then the rest is really figuring out whether, there's so much that we have to do to take care of ourselves. But in the beginning, it's very good to practice it and do it regularly. But knowing the science. So what you're doing is you're actually calming that thinking network down just by catching it and being able to, that's actually a victory, that you can catch yourself having a thought or being distracted. That's the
It's
first.
very hard. Like one of my kids say I'm ADHD. I'm very like everywhere. I'll start one conversation and the other, but I figure it's also part of the Parkinson's.
Oh, they say that you have ADHD? You have ADHD? That's what they said?
No, but that's what no,
That's what you
nobody.
feel like. Okay. So you will be able to. So if you catch yourself jumping another, you can make the decision, say, wait, let me finish this one thought and breathe. If you calm yourself down, you will notice that you have control. This is something that you can start to feel empowered to actually control what's going on in your mind.
Sounds good to me. I'm giving it a shot. Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you.
Malik?
I felt like I was like, this happens to me sometimes when I definitely downregulated, but I started like dozing, like going into a trance state.
Yeah.
And
That's very common, very common. That when I
Okay.
teach this course, people start to fall asleep almost immediately when they do this. So
Yeah.
you are immediately triggering your body's relaxation response.
Mhm.
So it makes sense that that some people, especially if they're tired, may fall asleep. So this is what we have figured out kind of collectively, that that's fine. If say, and this is, if you're doing this at home and you notice that you start to fall asleep, your body may need a nap. And maybe for that 10, 15 minutes, maybe it's valuable for you to nap and wake up and feel refreshed. But to actually train your mind, you have to become awake and alert and continue kind of be active in redirecting your mind. So those people actually started to meditate after a nap. They would actually take a nap and then meditate afterwards so that they can take that. Yeah. Because really, when you actually start to become very engaged and focused and train your mind, and then it's, you can feel your muscles working in the brain. Like you feel that you're changing your natural patterns. And we have evidence for that. It causes neuroplasticity. Then the other option is just to sit upright. You have to get, that's why, and I haven't done that yet. We'll do that for the longer exercise we'll do today. But you get yourself into a posture where your spine is up and you keep that while, even though your body is supported, the one thing you want to be alert in is your spine. And when you find yourself dozing, you actually sit more upright and you get yourself more. You can take some deep breaths to get a little bit more oxygen if you would like to, and then go back to training your mind.
Thank you.
So Ari Kaplan, I'll bring in this book that that Susan gifted me. It's called Jewish Meditation. He was a rabbi who was promoting that all of these techniques used to be really very prominent in Judaism. And what he wrote is that during the diaspora, that it seemed to have fallen out a little bit. And so, but any of the techniques I've used for Parkinson's are in that book. So it's really, for me, reaffirming to have seen. I come from Jewish descent. Marcia has a comment. I'll say one thing, but what he wrote in his book, which I love, is that he says that meditation is just choosing what you're going to focus on and then doing that for the next few minutes. Okay. Yes, Marcia, you had a comment.
What is his name?
Ari Kaplan, Kaplan. Is that correct? I think that's correct.
Yeah.
He gives a great definition of that. So over this workshop, we are going to be using our coming together and some of the audio recordings and instructions I provide as support for all making time in our daily schedule to sit for a few minutes and dedicate it to this internal, to meditation. So I want you to choose an internal signal as your choice of what you're going to focus on. So take a little bit of time and see, do you want to do a mantra? So for anybody who has TM, John, was it? No, who was it? No.
John.
Yeah. Okay, so stick with TM. Go ahead. I wouldn't say, if you feel comfortable with it, if you have a meditation method, use that method.
Okay.
For anybody brand new, you might want to really see what feels that you want be the object you want to focus on. So I usually do breath awareness, meaning that you can just use the sensations of the breath as your focus. It's always there. You can always just go inward and feel your breath. You can do a mantra. Later in the course, we're going to talk about doing motor imagery, which Yaakov, I think he left, but Yaakov had mentioned that's another way that you can direct your mental attention, and that has actually been studied for Parkinson's, but we'll talk about that later. I am going to send out a worksheet on the fundamentals of the meditation practice, and that includes what you need to know about posture. And one of which is basically that you want to be sitting in a chair that's firm enough that you can sit upright. So meditating on a couch is not ideal because first you slouch and it's a little too like sleepy. So if you can find a more firm surface and be upright, or even if you are on a couch, I saw Malik went and get something else, but you can also just put some cushions or a blanket under you by raising your hips up a little bit. This also supports your diaphragm. The other aspect of that you want to be firm enough and be upright is that you want your diaphragm to be able to move freely. Next, for people with Parkinson's, very good, Malik. Next, for people with Parkinson's, you might want to have some pillows or blankets under your arms. Or your legs. You want to get your limbs in a position where they feel like you can start to let them relax. So use props as needed. If you have a chair with an armrest, that is helpful. Your arms can rest. In the instructions I send out, Susan, I'll send you a worksheet now, my fundamentals of meditation, and she'll distribute it. But it's if you're sitting on the ground, then you need to have enough cushions so that your hips are raised up in the air, and that's all described there. What happens is people try to sit on the ground and their knees come way up, and that is just not healthy for the body. If you put cushions up, the more cushions you'll see that your legs can open up. And if you're sitting on the floor, that's the angle that you want your legs to be in, for anybody who wants to do that. The next part that Susan and I talked about last week is that you might want to identify in your house, where is your meditation spot? So choose a place that you feel pleasing, where you want to go and every day and check in. And you may populate that space with some pictures, something beautiful. In traditional spiritual religions, they would populate it with images of God or what reminds them of their higher spiritual purpose. You want to enter into the space already feeling happy, relaxed, and a place that you want to go to. It has to draw you every day. So go ahead and take just a minute to think about where in your house is your meditation spot, and it's a ritual that you develop. And if you find yourself in the beginning not doing that, you find, oh, I have 15 minutes, let me do it now. That's absolutely okay. But that just is part of the recommendation to creating a practice that is sustainable. Marcia, you're on mute.
What? Why the straight spine? I use meditation to go to sleep sometimes. I'm laying in my bed.
Yep. So straight spine, two things. One is that it keeps you more alert and engaged. And two, it helps your diaphragm move freer. You don't want your breathing to be constricted at all. But meditation for go to sleep is totally different. And in fact, there are lying down meditations. Yoga Nidra is one of them. But if you use it to go to sleep at night, absolutely fine. Any intentional training of your mind that you do is great. And for people with Parkinson's, the reason I am saying that I want you to choose something internal is because over time, I want you to become more connected to your body. We actually have evidence that one of the things that goes wrong in Parkinson's is the sensory processing of body signals. So the body becomes rigid, the walking becomes off, but often the person themselves may not be aware of it. It's their spouse or other people that recognize, oh, we've seen that for a long time, but the perception internally is not there. I had somebody saying that at dinner, he would be moving extremely slowly and be completely unaware of it, kind of like Awakenings. Do you remember that story where the people were touching their nose and from the outside, it seemed it was a very long time. But when they got the levodopa and they woke up, they said, oh, for us, we were just moving normally. So with this gentleman who was moving slowly at dinner, his family would tell him, hey, you're moving slow. And they'd be okay, and he can correct it. But the awareness wasn't there to catch it themselves. So this practice, you're going to be building your connection to your body. And you'll notice that when you start doing it intentionally for 10 to 15 minutes a day, you will carry that awareness with you for the rest of the day. You will be able to self-correct your posture, and it might take a little bit of time, but you'll notice that when you're in a stressful situation, you'll notice, oh, my body just became more rigid, or my breathing is now affected. Let me take a moment to relax my body. You'll have the tools to do that because you've practiced it. And then your body can stay relaxed even while going the activities that you want to do. So this is this awareness that you're building. It's this cumulative process where you train your mind, you build awareness and new tools to handle stressful situations. Any questions?
It sounds like a great plan.
All right. The first part of this, by the way, so I want to just give people a warning. So people start to meditate and they realize that, oh, they're having these thoughts. I would like to actually stop some of these anxious thoughts, some anxiety, some ruminative thoughts. So there are techniques for doing that, but it's kind of overwhelming to bring them all in. So we'll get to that later. Right now, we're going to practice being okay with things that come up and seeing if you can so I'll talk about this, kind of become friends with your mind. Kind of if you saw somebody having a hard time, how would you act? You'd say, hey, how can I help you? Or be a very like open, compassionate type of conversation. And this is what we're going to start to do. I'm going to ask you to be observing your body and your mind. And you might realize some things that you say, I want to change. But the attitudes of this practice is that the awareness you have is the first step, and later you'll develop the tools to actually change some of these thoughts you have. By the way, the best attitude right now for anybody new to meditation is a little bit of healthy skepticism. That's what John Kabat-Zinn wrote about, that you start this by saying, I don't know if this will work for me, but I'm open to trying. And so go ahead, and if you're in for this program for the next, we actually go over a span of about 2 months because we have a break in the middle, then just go ahead and make a commitment. Say, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a meditation seat, and I'm going to try the exercise, and I'm going to try and do it as often as I can. And then see what you see. Okay.
I have a quick question. Can we also do some repetitive movements?
Yes.
Like,
you can, and I have a video on mindful walking. So because anything repetitive, by the way, is relaxing. It really sends a signal to the brain. You don't have to be alert and aware of it. Do repetitive movements. I want you to pay attention to the sensations of those movements. Okay. So my colleague Kiran Patel is on this call. He's not on video, and I don't know if he's busy. He's also a neurologist, but Kiran, if you're there, he may or may not be there. He's somebody who I've known through the American Academy, but if he has anything he wants to add, he's also a great yoga and meditation practitioner and a neurologist. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but it's great to have his support that he joined here today. And I guess he might be busy in clinic, but we'll see, get other input. So.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
The dyskinesia when I'm sitting still is, how do I control that? Okay. It's driving me nuts. Like I'm sitting, you can see I'm this way, I'm that way, I'm moving my legs. I don't.
Okay, this is my first suggestion for you. Okay, and thank you for bringing this up. The same goes for tremor. If you're sitting in meditation, you have tremor. So I want you to go inside and to observe this and see what it feels like. Okay. So you can close your eyes or keep it open, but see if you can identify those sensations of your body moving, where they are in your body. Just observe the sensations of it. Okay. I don't know necessarily how much you're going to control the dyskinesias in the beginning, but you can definitely control your reaction to them. You can be okay with these movements. You can. I guarantee you can. You can learn that this is part of you and what your body is experiencing it, and you don't have to judge it as bad.
Okay.
And the amazing thing is by feeling it, you probably will relax a little bit better. It probably.
I'm trying to stop it and it doesn't work.
Correct. That's resistance. Yes. That in your mind, just so you know, you're already judging it it's not even conscious, but You notice it, you're judging it as bad, you're wishing it would go away, you're feeling this is uncomfortable. Instead, just feel it. Close your eyes and just imagine that you're dancing and your body is dancing, something positive or pleasant. I mean, I don't have it, so I can't say exactly, but feel it. And not only will it stop this negative judgment, but it probably will help the dyskinesia go away because
you.
that is driving it.
Yeah.
And the same thing for tremor. When people do have tremor during meditation, the first instinct might be like, oh, this is so, it's uncomfortable. It's getting in the way. I can't concentrate. Feel it. All right. Feel where the tremor is and how far up your arm goes. Where is the most proximal part of your body you feel the tremor? And where is it that there's no tremor and that you go into it and you go into the sensation? It actually, first of all, eliminates that negative dialogue judgment. And secondly, builds mind-body connection in a relaxing way.
Thank you.
We meditate together for a little bit. I think that's what I wanted to, let me just very quickly just check. All right. Gwen, that's just one of the attitudes that John Kabat-Zinn first told us about, that this is true for many things, actually. Once you get good at this practice, I realize how many things I resist, or I just wish it were different. It's like something comes up and the immediate action is like, oh, I wish this wasn't okay. Catch yourself feeling that way. You take a minute, you can trust yourself. I can handle this. All right, this has come up. What should I do about it? Instead of spending this negative mental energy wishing things were different, you approach it with an open mind. That's what acceptance is. So that's something I wanted to say later, because it's really hard to integrate everything right away, but and you don't have to. This is an ongoing process, but all right. So I'm going to do a 10-minute meditation. I think that's an okay guess. Susan, anything? Sound okay? Do people need a little break? Maybe I want to, we're good on time. So if anybody wants to get up and stretch or get a better seat to sit on, feel free to do that. I'll give a little time before we start.
You wanna see?
I will be guiding you on a breath awareness meditation, meaning I always start with a body scan because that helps bring the attention inward. And that starts to teach you that you have control to train what you want to be aware of. And then I move into a period of time when I ask you to focus on your breath, and there's more periods of silence. And that's where you start to train yourself. You start to see, can I stay focused on this? And inevitably the mind wandering comes up, you catch it, come back. So your task, or what you're trying to do, is stay focused, but inevitably all our minds wander. So then you're trying to actually catch yourself thinking. You're trying to develop this skill of seeing your internal thoughts, or being aware of your internal thoughts. All right, people seem ready for it. So get into a place where you can be relatively comfortable and still for the next 10 minutes. The recommendations are for the feet to be flat on the ground, if possible. And your spine relatively erect, with your head, if possible. See if you can find it. Where's a comfortable place for your head on top of your neck? Find a place for your arms where they can be resting on something. And you can go ahead and lift your shoulders up if you want, and then down. Get those shoulders and those arm muscles to relax. Now go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and start to bring your attention inward. We're going to get back to this later, but for now, just find the breath in your body. It's very much in the center of your body and always moving. Go ahead and just feel that there. Now we'll go ahead and do the body scan, this time fully. Bring your attention down now to your left foot. See if you can trace the whole bottom of your foot in your mind's eye, just feeling the whole foot making contact with a surface below it. Feel the toes, the ball of the foot, the heel of the foot. Can you feel what is surrounding your foot? Is it a sock, a shoe, or air? Going up, can you feel where that cloth or air changes in sensation? The sock will inevitably end at some point. Or if you're feeling air, can you feel where the pants then come in and stop that cool air? Do you feel any sensations in your foot? Tingling, sweaty? Just see, can you feel? What can you feel? Feel your toes next to each other, touching each other. Every part of our body has rich sensations. Bring your awareness up your leg. Just track it like a moving little train, slowly chugging up a hill. See if you can feel your shin, the calf, and the back. Come up to the knee bend and see if you can feel that. Continue up the leg, up to the hips, as we did before. And feel the hips steadily, solidly being held up. The hips don't have to do any work. But emerging from the back of the hips is the spine. Go ahead and feel your upright spine. Sit upright if you can. And see, take for a moment to feel this juxtaposition. Your spinal muscles doing work to hold you upright, but the hips being relaxed. The hip muscles, rather. Buttocks muscles, thighs. And also see if you can feel the back of your spine muscles doing work, but the front of your body relatively relaxed. Feel your shoulders, the front of your rib cage. Those muscles are all relaxed. Relaxed so that the breath and the diaphragm can freely move in and out. So very quickly, so we even out the body, but go ahead and bring your right leg into your awareness as well. Just feel your right leg, the toes, move up the leg all the way up to the hips. Just so that I leave you with both legs. You're both, that you've touched base and can feel both your legs steadily on the ground and your hips resting on the ground. Let's do the arms. Let's start one arm and then the other. Feel at first the shoulder. Let's do the right, so we're all together. Feel that right shoulder hanging down. Track your awareness down that upper arm, across the elbow bend into the hands. So what are the hands making contact with and resting on? Feel that surface between either the hand and the forearm, if relevant. The hands are on the legs. Can you feel the heat and the contact between that palm and the leg beneath it? Is there any tremor or any uncomfortable sensation? Just feel it. Be open to receiving signals from the body. And just invite that arm to relax from the shoulder down to the elbow to the hands. Let's go to the other hand. Feel each finger one at a time. Your thumb, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth. Feel them resting on a surface. If there's any movement there, you can become aware of it. Trace that your body awareness up your elbow and up to the shoulder. Invite that left arm to be relaxed. I'm going to just quickly do a few things in the face, also rich source of sensation in the face and the head. Bring attention to your mouth. What sensations can you appreciate there? It's so many rich sensations. You might have some taste or some saliva. Can you feel how your tongue is resting in your mouth? Where is the position of your tongue? Is it touching against your teeth? Is your mouth open or closed? You don't have to change anything. You don't have to move. Just be aware of things as they are. Can you feel the external air on your lips and the difference between the internal warmth, moistness of the mouth? And lastly, if your jaw does have any tension, or if you want to do a little jaw circle, just get your jaw in a position of relaxation as well. Feel free to move intentionally whenever you want during this exercise to get in a comfortable position. All right. I'm going to go ahead to the breath awareness meditation. It's going to be a little bit, I think it's been going a little long, but if everyone's doing okay, we're going to stay focused on the breath for the next few minutes, and feel free to readjust your posture if you need to. If you have discomfort, these are the recommendations. First, be aware of it and go into it from a sensory inquiry. What does it feel like? And next, slowly readjust as needed. There's no rules that you have to be absolutely fully still. You actually need to be comfortable. And then once you're comfortable, you go back to your focus. So let's all bring our awareness to the breath. Just start to mentally make note of this rhythmic movement. You can start by bringing attention to the breath in the lower parts. So feel your belly, ribs moving. See how high up your ribs do you feel movement? Because really for full breaths, which we'll work in later, you can get air all the way up to the top of your lungs. But for now, what is your natural rhythm? Is it really just based on the bottom, or how far up can you feel the movement of your rib cage as you inhale and exhale? Make special note of that beautiful, natural slowing down, switching direction and moving, transition between inhale and exhale. You can also feel your breath as it comes in through your nose or your mouth. So let's bring that into our awareness. The cool air as it comes in also speeds up, slows down, and then exits. We primarily want to be breathing through our nose. If you're a mouth breather, that's okay. Do what's comfortable. Though we have a nose breather expert on our call as well. So let's assume that we're all breathing in through our nose. Inhale, feel the cool air. Exhale, can you notice the temperature and moisture difference between the inhale and the exhale? Just focus on that for a minute or two. Temperature difference between inhale and exhale. Okay, is your mind wandering? Bring it back. Inhale, exhale. Take a slightly deeper inhale. Feel the air going back into your throat. How far down your trachea can you feel it? And exhale, warm air. Okay, bring the whole breath into your awareness now. The air coming in through your nose and your lungs, belly, ribs moving. Bring in your listening if you want to hear it. And now choose what you're going to focus on, either the whole breath or the upper or the lower, and decide to stay focused on that for the next few minutes. Inhale, transition, and exhale. Be alert, sit upright, engaged, feeling. Okay. This is where you're training your attention. If your mind wanders, normal, catch it, back to what you're focusing on. Inhale, exhale, stay focused. Body relaxed, mind active, feeling, observing. One more minute and then we'll stop. Give it your all. 1 minute. Stay focused. Another 40 seconds. Inhale, transition, exhale, and feeling. Last bit. Sit upright, be really engaged. What does this feel like? You're training your attention. And when you're ready, go ahead and release your focus. And gently, whenever you're ready, open your eyes and come back to the room around you. Comments, reflections, questions?
I actually was falling asleep again. And I did what you said with the spine,
Mhm.
and it was very helpful.
Good, good,
Thank you.
good. And sometimes be okay. If you're falling asleep and it feels good, just say, sleep would be nice right now. You know, this is not, there's nothing rigid about this, but good. I'm glad that helped. And it makes sense. You guys kind of were able to follow what we spoke about in the beginning and incorporate that into the session. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
My comfy chair.
Good. Was that Simone? Yeah, who said that? Okay, good. Good. Good.
Comfy.
Good. Great. Comfy, but be upright and erect. But yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks fine. So that chair, I would recommend putting like a rolled blanket or towel. It's really interesting. Try, as comfy as it is, just sitting up a little bit upright. It just opens up your whole body. So just something to play around with.
Need to
Get
put
your
some,
hips. Huh?
put some underneath your sit bone so you raised your pelvis a little.
Correct.
It
And we
really
can
helps.
we can do that. Are there any blankets next week in there in the studio? No.
I
Okay.
have 3 or 4 I could bring. Oh, you know
Um,
what we have? We have cushions. They have
pillows?
cushions, and
Good.
we can use those to sit on.
Yeah, we can try that. Yeah, we can play around with that. Good. All right. So I am going to send a worksheet on the first is the meditation, just fundamentals, kind of posture, just to review, maybe setting up a spot. I have a meditation tracker where you can check off if you want to how many days a week you do it. It's good to keep track. Print out as many copies as you want. None of this is required. These are all suggestions. I'm going to be giving lots of resources and you use what works for you. But I would encourage you to schedule time and try this. So there's a couple things that we can do. I have a recording that I can send out. I may have a different breathing component in it, but I'm going to send what I have as my week 1 recording. So I think it's kind of, yeah, let's see if we can send it out. I don't remember what size it is, but I think it could be available. So if you want to use a recording, that is available for you. The other technique we've done, Susan and Maurice, sometimes I go to audio and I just cut the audio we did during this class. And we can also send that out because then it's repetition and the exact same thing. So we'll kind of send some audio recording out for those who want to listen along. But long term, I do encourage you to be able to try to do this yourself. I have one other resource that may be helpful. There's also an app called I Breathe that is free, and you can set a bell timer to come either to ring, so to help bring your awareness back. So if you want a bell or something to help keep you focused, that's an option too. But again, let's be in touch. And we have the great privilege of working together and figuring out over time what works for all of us and sharing experiences and answering questions over time. This is just the beginning.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Sarah. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed your presentation.
Okay.
Very good.
Very helpful.
Okay. I look forward to meeting whoever can come next week in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll
Okay.
see you. Is everybody in the area going to be coming next week?
I hope to.
Again, what time? 1 to what, it starts at 1, at the
1 to
studio?
3, 1 to 3 at
Yeah.
1621 Route 202 in Pomona. For those who don't live nearby or can't come, we are Zooming it also, but we'd love to have everybody in person.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be there. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Take
I
care,
have
everybody.
Quick
Bye-bye.
question.
Thank you.
Sarah,
Bye.
Yes.
Sarah, I have one quick question.
Yeah.
What do you do when you say you go to your place and you want to meditate and then all of a sudden you get distracted and say, oh, I forgot I have to do this. You
Yeah.
go, oh, I go back and now I'm going to meditate. And then you go, oh, I forgot I have to do that.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. So yeah, so you have to, at least you make an intentional decision. The first thing is that you're aware that you're distracted, right? And then you have to decide, is this really important? And it might be, because you might feel at peace if you come back. If it, it keeps, but the other interesting thing is just to notice this urge. It's like, oh, I'm really drawn to doing that. And I really want to check my phone right now and see if I've gotten an email back. Notice the urge, notice what it feels like in the body. And then you make a decision. I think one thing you can do is reassure yourself. So the other thing is you can have a pad at your meditation spot. Sometimes we think things that we might forget, we don't want to forget, or we need a to-do list. You say, oh, I keep forgetting to do that. Write it down. First thing you do after you meditate is do that one thing. And you'll be calmer when you get it done. Even if you sit for 5 minutes, you'll notice the body just feels calmer. That might come over time, but it's a wonderful feeling to have that you can induce this relaxed state. And that comes only really with practice and prioritizing it in the beginning, and then it becomes easier.
Well, Dr. Sarah, I can't thank you enough. This is so helpful for us and we need it desperately. We really do.
Good.
This is-
Thank you for organizing.
Thank
Thank you to Jesse, for sponsorship. Great. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Very nice.
That was very, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good, very clear.
Yeah. Yeah,
very
She's a
organized.
great presenter. She really is a good presenter.
she's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Wait till you meet her next week. You're gonna really enjoy it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I look forward to it. Thank
You-
you, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh.